Our next consideration is to examine what is meant by change in quantity supplied. We shall be seeing that there is a difference between change in quantity supplied and change in supply. Though both of them are looking at supply, but they refer to different meanings. And change in quantity supplied is the movement along the same supply curve with variations in the price of the commodity upwards and downwards. Or it refers to the amount of a commodity supplied due to either an increase or a decrease in its price, other factors remaining constant. So when you are talking about a change in quantity supplied, you are trying to look at or observe the law of supply, and you only look at the variations in the price when other factors remain constant. If you look at our illustration, you can see that Q0 is our original quantity supplied at an original price of P0. So we can see that when the price is P0, as high as P0, we are at point X, where X is looking at price and quantity that is supplied respectively. P0 gives you quantity Q0 being supplied. So if this is our origin or the starting point, because Q0 means origin, so or starting quantity, and we find that the original quantity we started with is Q0, and this was being supplied at price P0 or original price or starting price. Now our price for that commodity reduces and it moves down to P1. What will happen to the quantity that is supplied? We are looking at quantity supplied. So whenever the price of a commodity reduces, we also get a reduction in the quantity supplied. Because we are still on a normal supply curve, so we are obeying the law of supply that the lower the price, the lower the quantity supplied. And therefore, we are moving downwards on our supply curve to a lower level. Originally, we were at X, now we are at point Y. Point Y is below X in terms of price and quantity. So a reduction in the price or a fall in the price of a commodity leads to a fall in quantity supply. Whenever the price reduces, suppliers who are aiming at maximizing profits will tend to reduce the quantity they put on the market as that product or that commodity is no longer profitable to them. So we refer to that one as a downward movement along the supply curve or a decrease in quantity supplied. It is a decrease because we had a bigger quantity, Q0, but now we are moving to a new level of quantity supplied, which is Q1, and it is less than Q0 because of the decline or the fall in the price from P0 to P1. So we see that fall in, let's not use fall in the English case, but let's use our economic terms, a decrease in price from P0 to P1 leads to a decrease in quantity supplied. Quantity supplied from Q0 to Q1. A decrease in the price of the commodity from P0 to P1 leads to a decrease in quantity supplied from Q0 to Q1. And we call that one a decrease in quantity supplied. So this is known as decrease in quantity supplied. This is known as decrease in quantity supplied. And it is indicated by movement. Indicated by a movement from point X to point Y. Point X to point Y. It is indicated by a movement from point X to point Y, and we are still moving along the same demand curve simply because we are only varying, or we are only changing or we are only having a change in the price of the commodity. So here, reduce the price and you move downwards along the same supply curve to getting a smaller quantity or reduction in the quantity supply from Q0 to Q1. Alternatively, we can look at the other side of a change, because a change can either be an increase or a decrease. So we have seen the decrease, and when we have a positive change, which is an increase. So now, an increase in quantity supplied, and increase in quantity supplied occurs when there is an increase in the price of the commodity, in the price of the commodity in question. Other factors remain constant. Other factors remaining constant. So an increase in quantity supplied occurs when there is an increase in the price. Increase in quantity supply occurs when there is an increase in the price of the commodity in question. Other factors remaining constant. So this leads to a movement along the same supply curve from point X to point Z. And the quantity supplied increases from X0 to X2. So we have a rightward movement or an upward movement. So you see that there is an extension. On the supply curve. There is an extension on the supply curve. We are extending both our price and quantity from a lower level now to a higher level. So we call this one either an increase in quantity supplied or an extension in supply. Whereas whenever we move downwards, it is a decrease in quantity supplied or a contraction in supply. So our supply is contracting, reducing, getting less and less because of the contraction in quantity supply because of a decline in the price of that commodity. Whereas it extends or increases whenever there is an increase in the price of that commodity. So this concept is very important. In examinations, they can ask you to distinguish between a change in quantity supply and a change in supply. Now, at least you know what is meant by a change in quantity supply, which is a movement along the same supply curve, whereby the quantity either increases or decreases as a result of a change in the price of the same commodity, other factors remaining constant. And that change in quantity supply can be an increase in quantity supply or a decrease in quantity supply. A decrease in quantity supply is brought about by a reduction in the price of the commodity, yet an increase in quantity supply is brought about by an increase in the price of that same commodity. We move to a higher level of quantity supplied with an increase in supply, yet with a decrease in supply, we move to our lower level on our supply curve. Now let's look at the change in supply. How can we illustrate it, and how can we interplay with other factors which affect supply in order to have either an increase in supply or a decrease in supply. Change in supply, which is number 2. Change in supply. The first one was change in quantity supply, yet this one is a change in supply. How would we define it? Because if you're given a question, distinguish one term from the other, usually we use their definitions. This is the increase, this is the increase, or because it is a change, it has to show both sides, or decrease in the amount, of a commodity, decrease or increase in the amount of the commodity supplied, due to changes in other. Now we are taking them out of our cupboard and we are bringing them to influence our supply in other factors affecting supply, keeping the price of the commodity constant, keeping the price of the commodity constant, keeping the price of the commodity constant. In the first definition of change in quantity supply, we saw that there was also an increase and a decrease. It can either increase or decrease. And what is increasing or decreasing? The amount of that commodity in question which is supplied. And why is it changing? Because other factors affecting supply are changing, but the price of the commodity remains constant. Whereas change in quantity supply, these other factors were the ones which were constant, and the price was being varied. You increase the price and lower the price, and whatever arises is an increase in supply, in quantity supply, or a decrease in quantity supply. But now we are keeping the price constant, and the other factors are now which are in play, or the ones we are trying to vary or change, and then introduce a change in our supply. And we can hammer this better when we use an illustration. Illustration. We have our price series, that axis, and we have our quantity supplied per time. There. We are saying that the price is constant, so if this is the price line, how do we make our price constant? By drawing a horizontal line which is parallel to the x-axis. Wow, there it is. So this is our price PO, which is the same. It is neither increasing nor decreasing, but it is represented by a stationary line or a horizontal line to the x-axis. And we want to illustrate our respective changes in the quantity supply, which means we need to begin with an original supply curve. So if this is our supply curve, original, it is there. And we find that the price is not changing, but how are we going to have either an increase in quantity or a decrease in quantity? So our original supply curve intersects our price line there, and where the two intersect, we are able to get our quantity. We are supposed to get our supply, so this will be Q0, which is the amount supplied, which is the supply at price 0. Can we have a bigger supply or a smaller supply respectively? Yes. Our supply can increase to a greater level, which may be around there. If that is our bigger quantity or bigger amount supplied, Q2, then we don't shift this supply curve in any way, but we shift it in the rightward movement or rightward direction, and we draw a completely new supply curve. It should be parallel to the original one. Should be parallel. Good. Bad thing we don't have a ruler. They should be parallel to each other. S0, S0, S2, S2. If we are to have a reduction in quantity, it can be represented here, where we have now a smaller quantity Q1, and this smaller quantity Q1 makes our constant price at that point. So you can draw your other supply curve at that point. This is now S1, and if this is point A, this is B, and this is point C. If we move from the origin or the original quantity supply, you can see that now we are moving from A to B or from A to C. Movement from A to C shows that there is an increase in supply, yet movement from A to B shows that there is a decrease in supply from quantity Q0 to quantity Q1. As you can see, Q1 is a smaller quantity than Q1, yet Q2 is a greater quantity than Q1. And why is our quantity, why is our amount supplied greater? It is not because of an increase in the price, no. The price is remaining the same, but maybe the cost of production are low. Now, even if the price has not increased, our suppliers are able to supply more of that commodity as they are using less cost of production. Maybe the climate has been favorable, and because of the favorable climate, they are able to supply more amounts of that commodity, but it's not the price that is impelling them to supply more. So all those other factors we noted that are the ones which determine or influence supply are the ones which are now in play here to determine an increase in the amount in the supply of a commodity. This is the increase, as you can see, from A to C, in or decrease from A to B in the amount of a commodity supplied due to changes in other factors affecting supply, keeping the price of the commodity constant. So our price is constant, and we get a new supply curve respectively for the increase and the decrease. So the movement from A to C, we call it a shift of supply curve to the right. Shift of the supply curve to the right is from point A to C. Point A to C, indicating an increase in supply, from Q0 to Q2. Then a shift of the supply curve to the left is from point A to B, and it is indicating a decrease in supply, from Q0 to Q1. And this may be unfavorable factors of production, political instability, unfavorable natural factors, an increase in the cost of production, breakdown in the technology, breakdown in the infrastructure. So all these being negative and unfavorable are responsible for a decline or a decrease in supply. Yet whenever all those other factors are favorable, they account for an increase in supply. And we call this one leftward shift, also known as leftward shift of supply curve. So we get a completely new supply curve other than moving along the same supply curve as we saw with change in quantity supply. Here, whenever we get an increase in supply and a decrease in supply, we construct a completely new supply curve for that new quantity generated because of either the favorable factor or the unfavorable factor. Yet, in change in quantity supplied, we moved along the same demand curve, either upwards or downwards, depending on the changes in the price. But now price is not changing, it is constant. It's the other factors which are changing, so we get a complete shift of the supply curve to a new level of supply, but at constant price. So I think now you are in position to distinguish between a change in supply and a change in quantity supply. Change in quantity supply, movement along the same supply curve, due to changes in the price of the commodity, other factors remaining constant. Yet, change in supply is an increase or decrease in the amount of the commodity supply, price remaining constant, but because of changes in the other factors affecting supply. Question. Let's look at a question and see how we can answer it. Explain the factors which lead to an increase in supply. So we are now looking at it from only one side. We are not looking at factors which lead to a change. No, we are specific. We want only those that are responsible for an increase in supply. And you can say that whenever natural factors become favorable, we get an increase in supply. Natural factors becoming favorable. And we explain how they become favorable. Maybe you are moving from a drought and now you are able to get reliable and sufficient moderate rain. Definitely there will be an increase in supply because we are moving away from something that was negative and now to get an increase, the change should be a positive one. So natural factors becoming favorable. Don't simply say natural factors. No, you should show the change in that natural factor. Is it a favorable change or unfavorable change? Because we are interested in an increase in supply, it should be a favorable change in that factor. So natural factors becoming favorable. A second factor may be an improvement. All these are positive statements. An improvement in technology or techniques of production. You improve, or the factors become favorable. You improve on your technology. We are using methods of production that were not very efficient, and there you introduce new methods of production, you buy new machines, so there is an improvement in technology that may account for an increase in supply. 3. Favorable factor, a reduction. What do we need to reduce in order to increase supply? In costs of production. A reduction in costs of production. So whenever you use less money or lower expenses in the production process, it is an encouragement for the supplier or the producer to increase the supply. Then increase in the number of producers and increase in the number of suppliers. Or producers. You move away from having just one producer to many. Definitely those many suppliers who have joined or have entered the line of production are going to give forth an increase in supply. Then 5, we have a reduction. What do we need to reduce again? We need to reduce the gestation period. In the gestation period. That is why in agriculture we are these days looking for breeds that can mature within a short period of time, and through scientific research and discovery we have been able to replace much of our Robusta coffee with a Corona coffee which can mature within a shorter period of time. So we reduce the gestation period. Instead of having that coffee that takes 9 years before you are able to harvest, now we have the coffee which can be harvested just after 1.5 years. So there you can increase supply accordingly. Then favorable government policy. Favorable government policy. favorable movement policy towards the product, and it is only favorable when it is a subsidy. Subsidization. So whenever government subsidizes the production of a commodity, it becomes cheaper to produce it, and many people may invest in its production, hence increasing its supply. So only when it is favorable, but when it's not unfavorable, when it is unfavorable, you will not be able to increase the production. Then we have political climate becoming stable. So you need to show that change, because we are looking at an increase. When we have an increase, there has to be a significant change bringing about that increase. So political climate might have been unstable, and maybe that's why supply was not much. But now political climate becoming, the moment you talk of becoming, you are showing a change. It is becoming stable, moving away from instability. Definitely you are going to have the supply increasing. Then improvement in the land tenure system. Land tenure system, whereby out of the changing of your land act or land bill, people can now access land much more easily, other than land belonging to only a certain class of people, like the kings owning miles and miles of land and not using it, which is causing stagnation in our economic development. But if there is let's say a change in the land tenure system, and what was previously belonging to the Kabaka and being unused now can become public land, and people can apply for it and obtain it, then they will utilize it and increase the supply of a given commodity. Improvement in the working conditions. So whenever these ones improve or become better, workers are happy and they are ready to give in their utmost in terms of energy, time, and efficiency and productivity, and they increase the supply. Then improvement in the state of infrastructure. Everything is improvement in the state of infrastructure, especially roads. Roads are very important. You cannot be able to make the goods reach the consumers where they need to find them in the market if the roads are impassable. So roads are very important in the transportation of both the raw materials and the labor which are required in order to increase the supply, and after getting the final product, it is useless if it does not reach the consumer. So roads, if their state has now been improved, they have been upgraded to being all-weather roads, or they have even been tarmacked, then communication and transport will be very easy, and the supply of goods is going to increase in response to whatever condition may be arising regarding that particular commodity. Then we have an increase in the price, which is 11. Increase in the price of a jointly supplied good. These are goods whose supply cannot be separated, and if the price of meat increases, definitely there will be an increase in the supply of hides. If there is an increase in the price of coffee, definitely there will be an increase in the supply of coffee husks, because the two go together. Then lastly, we can talk of a decrease in the price of a competitively supplied good. These are goods which compete for the same resource to be supplied. So the moment there is a decrease in the price of beans, people will not produce beans whose prices are low. They will instead increase the supply of maize whose price may have gone up. So as the price of one commodity goes down, the other commodity which competes for the same factor for its production will now have its amount supplied, hence leading to an increase in supply. So those are the factors we have to explain in a meaningful way that is again coherent and related, so that you are able to get your marks, and passing is very easy. If it is a decrease, assuming that the examiner, instead of wanting factors leading to an increase, now is in for factors leading to a decrease, it's just a matter of changing the favorable factor here and making it unfavorable, changing from positive, making it negative. If here there was an improvement, there will be decline in technology, increase in cost of production, reduction in number of suppliers, increase in the gestation period, unfavorable government policy of taxation, political climate becoming unfavorable, or the area becoming politically unstable, then decline in the let's say poor land tenure system, or movement to a poor land tenure system, then working conditions becoming unfavorable, then the state of infrastructure breaking down. If it breaks down, the communication will be hampered and supply will not be able to increase. Then decrease in the price of a jointly supplied good. The moment the price is low, its supply will decrease, and so will the supply of the commodity with which they are supplied together. And an increase in the price of a competitive good. If now it is beans which are expensive, definitely there will be a decrease in the supply of maize, and land will be used for the supply of beans, which is more profitable to our producers and our suppliers.